Hello there, a very good evening. Thank you for joining us. My name is Lynn Komjisha. We are coming to you from the New Vision newsroom. Here's what's coming up in our bulletin. Floods have cut off Uganda Bugweri Road. Kanyamunyu trial set for next year. Door-to-door mass oral vaccination against cholera launched in Bududa district. Tunisia hands out prisoners' rights guide. Israeli parliament moves for third election as talks falter. In a special report, Uganda's first health minister dies at 103 years. In sport today, Magogo is back in office after 73 days of suspension by FIFA. A very good evening once again. You're watching New Vision TV News. Now, transport is paralyzed from Iganga to Bugweri district via Nambale and Namalemba sub-counties route after Naigomba swamp flooded over Nabikote Bridge during a downpour. Nabikote Bridge, which links the two districts, was submerged in the evening with huge flooding waters characterized by heavy waves, which also affected the nearby plantations and electricity wires. Currently, the road has been closed by local authorities led by the officer in charge, Nabukone Police Post, David Tusubira. Tusubira said the bridge was swept away at 3 p.m. and some brave-bodied locals who tried to help the stranded travelers cross in order to get money nearly lost their lives. He advised the travelers to abandon the road and use other alternative roads, especially Iganga-Busemba-Tia Highway, for safety purposes. The government on Monday launched the second phase of door-to-door mass oral vaccination of residents against cholera in Bududa district to prevent cholera adverse effects. Launching the exercise at Bulutcheke Health Center 3, which is targeting to reach 53,000 residents, the State Minister for Health in charge of general duties, Saro Pendi, said Bududa is one of the high-risk districts under close surveillance by the Health Ministry. Opendi challenged the district leadership to come up with bylaws to ensure that all households have pit latrines, while giving an example of her home district, Tororo, which she said was among cholera high-risk districts, but local authorities were forced to step up the campaign to declare open defecation free by ensuring that every homestead has a pit latrine. Meanwhile, the search and rescue of bodies that were buried during the weekend landslides continues. Disaster Preparedness State Minister Musa Echweru is in the area. Now, the effects of floods and landslides have had a toll on the water supply infrastructure, leaving Bududa district virtually without any reliable water supply. Ismail Tusime, the Bududa district water officer, says many obstacles that include an availability of dependable means of transport, continuing rains that do not allow teams to traverse the affected areas, and telephone communication gaps have hindered the attainment of accurate information. Ismail said that in the meantime, engaging the development partners to set up emergency water supply in the district by using the water bags and baggers will help. The death toll from the recent floods is 11 and many remain displaced. Moving on, 350 members from opposition parties have crossed to join the ruling National Resistance Movement Party in Dokolo District. The Member of Parliament, Dokolo North Constituency District, Paul Amoro Omiat, and the NRM District Administrative Secretary, Dokolo District, John Bosco Otoke, said the members who crossed were from the strongholds of the opposition, the three sub-counties of Agwata, Amoma, and Okwalongwen. The crossing of members of opposition political parties becomes the second one this year after another group of 200 crossed to join the NRM party in April. Otoke said their move as the NRM party is to have members of other opposition parties join them before the 2021 general elections. Moving on, Matthew Kanyamunyu, the Executive Director, Quantum Express Logistics, is among the 40 suspects who will be prosecuted in the criminal session that opened at the High Court in Kampala. Kanyamunyu, his brother Joseph Kanyamunyu, and his Burundian girlfriend Cynthia Munyangwari are accused of killing Kenneth Watmon Akena, a child protection specialist with Accord Uganda. The other suspects are facing charges ranging from murder, aggravated robbery, aggravated defilement, rape, kidnap, and intent to procure a ransom, kidnap with intent to murder, among others. While the rest of the suspects took plea, Kanyamunyu and his co-accused took plea much earlier and denied the charges against them when they first appeared before Justice Stephen Mubiru. The offences attract maximum non-mandatory sentences of death on conviction. Justice Mubiru has set January 8th, 9th and 10th, 2020 as dates when Kanyamunyu's murder trial will kick off. Now, Dr. Emmanuel Lumu, Uganda's first post-independence health minister, who was also in the first cohort of Ugandans to qualify as medical doctors, passed on. Lumu passed away at his home in Bakuli, a Kampala suburb, according to a close family source who revealed that he had been battling illnesses for a while. He served as a medical practitioner at Mulago Hospital before he was appointed health minister shortly after Uganda attained independence. Lumu was a close friend to Kabaka Edward Mutesa, Uganda's first president, at the health ministry. Lumu set out to establish regional hospitals. Now, 3 years into his term, Lumu and a few of his colleagues took part in the 1996 failed coup. 1976 failed coup to Prime Minister Apollo Milton Obote, for which they were subsequently arrested. They were released in 1971 after Amin overthrew Obote after serving a jail term. Lumu quit politics and started a private clinic in Kisenyi, a Kampala suburb. Now, closing off news around Uganda, the teaching and engineering professionals have had more first-class students than other professionals in the 16th Chambogo University graduation. The graduation ceremony started today and will end Friday. According to the graduation list obtained by New Vision TV, the Bachelor of Education students registered the highest numbers of graduates with first-class degrees at 20. It was followed by a Bachelor of Information and Computing with 17 first-class degrees and Bachelor of Engineering in Civil and Building Engineering with 10 first-class degrees. The others with a high number of first-class degrees include the Bachelor of Teacher Education, Bachelor of Vocational Studies and Agriculture with Education and Bachelor of Economics and Statistics. They registered 9 first-class degrees each. A total of 187 students will graduate with first-class degrees in various programs. We'll now take a look at news around the world. Tunisian authorities began distributing a guide outlining prisoners' rights to be kept in all detention facilities. The guide was handed out to detainees at the main prison in central Tunisia, close to the capital, Tunis. The 120-page manual contains 255 simple questions ranging from what disciplinary punishments can be imposed to how often are inmates allowed to access a shower? All detainees and guards are said to have access to the document by the end of March 2020. Guineans Guineans took to the streets en masse in the latest round of mass anti-government protests to hit the fragile West African state. Around 1 million people protested against embattled President Alpha Condé in the capital, Conakry. AFP could not independently verify the figure. The poor former French colony country of some 13 million has seen rolling demonstrations since mid-October over suspicions that the 81-year-old president is maneuvering to seek a third term in office. At least 20 civilians have been killed since protests began, and a paramilitary police officer has also been killed. Now, the families and friends of Australian victims of the White Island volcano tragedy paid tribute to wonderful lost loved ones today and expressed doubt they were made aware of the risks of visiting the island. 7 of the 9 people so far identified and named as missing by New Zealand police are from Australia. An 8th Australian victim who died in hospital was named by authorities there late today. That number is expected to rise. Many more of the victims are expected to have been day trippers from a cruise ship that left from Sydney. Now, Israel's parliament began rushing through a bill today to call a third general election within a year as talks between embattled Premier Benjamin Netanyahu and his centrist rival broke down ahead of a midnight deadline. A deal to avert a new election must be reached before 11:55 p.m. But Netanyahu and his rival Benny Gantz, both of whom have failed to build a governing majority in parliament since a deadlocked vote in September, have spent days trading blame for failing coalition talks. We'll now take a quick break and return with news in business. Welcome back from that break. You're still watching New Vision TV News. We'll now take a look at news in business. In business tonight, the Governor Bank of Uganda, Emmanuel Tumusiime Mutebile, has advised Ugandans not to accept currencies that have been written on or stamped. This after currency in Ugandan shillings, with messages urging Ugandans to vote Chadondo East MP Robert Chagulanyi and President Yoweri Museveni as their next presidents ahead of the 2021 general elections circulated on social media. Mutebile made the warning in a statement released by the bank on its official Twitter handle, saying that the people risk losing value for their banknotes. He said the central bank is the only authority that can issue currency and determine the features on the currency notes. Mutebile says stamping, writing or putting a mark on any currency note is illegal. President Yoweri Museveni has asked the judiciary to prioritize disposing of business issues to avoid tainting the country's reputation. He said Uganda's competitive advantage should not be interrupted by slow commercial justice. Investors are setting up factories in Uganda because there's assured security, said Museveni. The president made the call at State House in Entebbe while presiding over the swearing-in ceremony of 15 judges. He observed that 68% of the population in Uganda work only for the stomach. He reiterated the need to transform wananchi to participate in the money economy. He asked them not to treat village thieves lightly, but rather strictly because they affect the society. The president also noted that Bibanja owners are being evicted, saying that they need to be assisted. And that was news in business. Now, into our special report today, we take a look at Uganda's first health minister who just died, aged 103.
He was the health minister and lived a healthy life to the age of 103. The independent Uganda's first Minister of Health, Dr. Emmanuel Sajaliabene Lumu, passed on yesterday. Dr. Lumu was among the first Ugandans to qualify as medical doctors, having joined the medical school of the Makerere University College of East Africa in 1938 and graduated in 1945. He first worked in northern Ugandan hospitals of Arua and Gulu for some years until he was transferred to Mulago. However, even after graduating in medicine and surgery, the British government did not recognize the African medical graduates as doctors, and Lumu's team and others coming after them fought long legal battles until they were granted a doctor's salary in 1957, but not the professional recognition. It was not until Uganda gained independence that the British General Medical Council and recognized the Ugandan graduates as doctors. By the time the former colonial masters, under whose jurisdiction Makerere University College fell, recognized the Ugandan doctors, Dr. Lumu had already become the country's first Minister of Health, and Makerere was on the way to becoming a college of the University of East Africa in 1963. In 1966, Dr. Lumu with 4 other colleagues were arrested in the cabinet meeting and locked up without trial. They were released in 1971 by military leader Idi Amin soon after he captured power. The other 4 were Grace Ibinjira, Balaki Kiria, Cuthbert Obwangor, and Matthias Ingobi. Dr. Lumu played a major role in laying the foundation for Uganda's post-independence health systems, including the upgrading of Mulago to a modern national referral hospital. He traveled widely around the world, benchmarking for the modernization of Mulago, the medical school, and creating the regional referral hospitals network. After his release from prison in 1971, Dr. Lumu led a quiet private life for 48 years until he died at his home. May his soul rest in eternal peace.
We'll now take a quick break and return with news in sport. Welcome back from that break. Now, in our sporting update today, the Federation of Uganda Football Association President Engineer Moses Magogo made an official comeback to office after 73 days away. We have more. The Federation of Uganda Football Association President Engineer Moses Magogo made an official comeback to office after 73 days of stepping aside to permit investigations by the Federation of International Football Association over the alleged sale of World Cup tickets. Machinde was Member of Parliament and Shadow Minister for Sports in Parliament, Honorable Alan Sewanyana, earlier petitioned that Magogo involved himself in the trade of 2014 World Cup tickets that were designated for Ugandans on a cheaper price, which was not in line with FIFA statutes. For 73 days, FIFA Vice President Justus Mujisha temporarily took over as acting FIFA President as FIFA investigations went on. A group of FIFA delegates, officials, friends, members of parliament congregated at Sky's Hotel Naguru at a luncheon to celebrate together with the FIFA president the good times after his return. While handing over office, the vice FIFA president said the comeback of Magogo is a victory to Ugandan football.
I think you have used logic, you have used your understanding of the law. but there's a lot about the facts themselves that you missed out, that one day definitely all of us are going to learn. I'd also like to thank the executive committee for all these achievements that have come here, that have been listed. But for me, there is one which is very, very, very important. And I want to emphasize that we may have achieved very many things. And for me, finishing third in Sekafa and what you may have seen as not having gotten 100%, to me it is 100%, because we cannot win all the time. This is football.
While speaking at the luncheon function at Sky's Hotel in Naguru, Magogo thanked the executive and FUFA stakeholders for having achieved big in his absence. Magogo has been serving a suspension after being found guilty of selling the Brazil 2014 World Cup tickets, which were meant to be sold to Ugandans at lower prices. Magogo paid 37 million shillings as a fine for the scam. Uganda Cranes reached the semi-finals of the 2019 Sekafa Senior Challenge Cup after beating Eritrea by 2-0 at StarTimes Stadium Lugogo.
Shot from Kasozi!
Nicholas Kasozi and Mustafa Kiza scored for the hosts in the second half. Jonathan McKinstry made several changes to the starting lineup, with Stephen Mukwala, Paul Mboa, Joel Mutakuwa and Abdul Karim Watambala all getting spaces in the team, while Alan Okello, John Revita started on the bench. Cranes now lead Group A with 9 points. In the other games played, Djibouti won Burundi 2-1 in the first game played at Lugogo Stadium. Uganda will play their last group game Sunday against Djibouti. That was all we had for you this evening. Thank you for watching. We'll sure catch you next time. Have yourselves a wonderful night. I leave you with the fact file.